Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another day of Trudeau ruling over us in a minority government. I'm giving you a little bit of commentary tonight. It was with the gathering in the evening in East Regina, and back to talk to you now. Before we get started, and before too many people are online to look at this, I wanted to show you something that came from Samantha Lowe's. This is the niece of a friend in BC. She sent this to me. She says, day 4 of a journey I never thought I would travel. Against every ounce of my being, I did what I was told to do. I gave up the autonomy of my body in order to see my family again and live life with the freedoms we deserve. I made a choice, one I felt wasn't my own. That's called coercion. 30 hours after that second choice, I collapsed. The voice I've used to stand up for autonomy rights, gone. The ability to step forward in my own journey, gone. The ability to raise my hand for what I believe in, gone, all at the expense of freedom. In other words, she got her second jab. After 4 days, I am well on my way in this new journey, and the small victories have become big ones. I am blessed to be surrounded by so much love and support as I navigate this journey of recovery, thanks to everyone who is praying. Yes, it is a Cape Breton woman who was paralyzed 30 hours after her second jab. I was told by my friend that she's able to move a few fingers. And that is just really sad. You know, anyone who hasn't taken the jab by now has decided not to do so, and to anyone who's getting pushed forward into this, it has to be called coercion. It really does. Well, I wanted to talk to you tonight about what we saw in our election. We're going to start out with the riding I ran in last time around when I got 1,075 votes and about 2.3 or 2, I think it was 2.8% of the vote. Jeremy Patzer for the Conservatives won again this year, but Charles Hislop took third. I took fourth last time. He took third with 2,807 total votes, which is 8.5% of the total. So congratulations, Charles, on a third place finish. You know what? It's looking pretty much the same across this province tonight. And I want to look at a few others. Saskatoon West was an interesting one. We thought that some people thought that this was in contention, and the Conservative candidate won with 46% of the vote. Kevin Boychuk of the PPC took 6.4%. In Saskatoon Grasswood, Kevin Waugh took 50% of the vote, and Mark Friesen got 4.8%. And Guto in Saskatoon took 4.4% as Corey Tokor took it again. That's what we got over there. Now, let's look to see what we got in Regina. Ooh, we're taking the big view now. First, Kelly Block, 68.5% of the vote, and Mike Bohatch got 9.7%. So third place finish for him there. I'd heard that there was a lot of signs out there for the PPC as well. Okay, Moose Jaw Lake Center Lanigan, Jay Crake, third place with 11.6% of the vote. And the former mayor of Moose Jaw, who resigned to run in this election, took 61%. So Andrew Scheer won again, 62.4% of the vote. And Andrew Ubetta for the PPC. He is a ex-U.S. Navy vet who got 5.2%. Okay, Souris Moose Mountain in the southwest, Diane Neufeld took second place. That didn't happen very often last time around, with 3,436 total votes, and Robert Kitchen cleaned up with 76.4. So this is an area with lots of oil, and there was a few Conservative voters that were willing to turn away from them. The decision by Aaron O'Toole to take away or to actually implement a carbon tax was not received well by everybody. And Michael Cram won again, 49.4% of the vote. Sean McEachern, who was Ralph Goodale's assistant back in the day, took 26%. And Mario got 3.8 for the PPC, and Victor Lau, who the former Saskatchewan Green Party leader, got 1.8. Erin Heidelbaugh, she had been going for the nomination in Moose Jaw, and she didn't get that, and they parachuted her in Regina. I did articles on this riding for the Western Standard, and that was not, I never got a hold of Erin. She initially agreed to an interview and then just never came through on that. Okay, well, let's look a little bit further out at what we got for. Oh, hey, Judy. Nice to see you online tonight. Okay, in Alberta. Look at that. We got a riding out there. The Yellowhead riding as a PPC candidate at second place, Michael Manchin, which is interesting. And it looks like the Liberals actually took some seats in Edmonton. Randy Boisseau, the point person for the LGBTQ issues for the Liberal Party. He lost in 2019, but he looks like he's back again, although this is so close. Who knows what the mail-in votes are going to do. And where else did the Liberals get a seat? We're going to find out. Looks like in the extended areas of Edmonton that they were voting NDP, but some were Conservative. Neck and neck, and Damien Kirk's riding between the NDP and the PPC there. And the Maverick taking 4.1%. So here we've got the Liberals and the Greens. The Liberals are what? We've got 5th place in there. Interesting. I'm surprised that the Liberals got a seat in Calgary, but they did. And I think this is a largely immigrant riding, and that may have something to do with it, based on who we had that was running there. And so sometimes that just provides a different dynamic for what the politics is. Len Weber won again. I remember the first time he won, it was only by about 400 votes against the Liberal candidate in 2015. And it's much more this time. Once you get to be an incumbent, it usually works a lot better. All right. Ron Vaillant, he got 4th place. Some of you might be following his YouTube channel. And the Conservative candidate won with 60% of the vote. You know, I thought that Maverick might snag second in a handful of ridings because they had that big idea of Western alienation, Western independence, and it just never seemed to get a lot of traction. I don't know if it was because of a lack of media coverage or what it was. Getting called the Bloc Québécois of the West probably didn't help. Some people were saying that. And again, just not a whole lot of traction out there. Now, in Banff Airdrie, this is where we had Derek Sloan attempting to run, and he only got 1,677 votes for 2.5% of the total. He did try to get his application in for party status. He told me that he had all of that in May, and 2 months in advance, and just never. Elections Canada just didn't come through for him. He says, I'm not accusing them of wrongdoing, but he didn't do it. And Nadine Wellwood was 4th there with 7.6% of the vote. All right, let's see some other areas down here. John Barlow again, almost 70% of the vote. Daniel Hunter with the PPC, 8.1. You know, I want to go to Vancouver Island here. See, we got all NDP, almost all of it, except for Elizabeth May. You know, when Elizabeth May first took this riding, they flew in 1,200 volunteers, and she took the riding from Gary Lund, who was a conservative cabinet minister, by like a couple of hundred votes. So once you get in there, it's a lot easier to maintain. And this is probably something that the PPC will need to do if they want to have Maxime Bernier back in the House of Commons. And it would take a concerted effort for him in his own riding to be there to get that. So we can see from the west coast of BC and in the greater Vancouver area, it is all NDP and Liberal. Okay, so that's what BC wanted to do. You know, I heard from some PPC people tonight that they could not believe that with 100,000 people at the Montreal rally protesting masks, that you could still not have any seats there. And they wondered if some people wondered if there was wrongdoing. No, there's all kinds of reasons that Quebecers don't vote for PPC. There's reasons why people always vote the way that they do. And it has to do with a lot of things, because if you're talking about fairness for the rest of Canada, well, that may not be popular with Quebecers. If you can have a Quebec-friendly prime minister, well, why wouldn't you, right? If you're from there. You're looking at Montreal right there. And I remember Blacklock's reporter, they said, funny part about Montreal is there's a rainbow that circles it continually, dropping pots of gold. That's how it's been in the Trudeau government. All right, so Maxime Bernier did not get his seat. I'm not even sure where to find Beauce out there. Well, we could keep wandering around. It's just a different kind of dynamic in Quebec, and it can go any which way. We've seen years where it goes mostly NDP, as it did under Jack Layton. And you see other times where it's more like this, where there's a split between the parties. Often Quebec City does not want to do what the Liberals want to do. And Don's telling me he's from Montreal, and he does not like Trudeau. It was really funny. I talked to a political strategist for one of my articles. He could not believe that there were F Trudeau stickers out there. I said, we've had those in the West for a long time. We even had Trudeau urinal mats at the Cabri Hotel. It said happy ways, people for people kind. It had his Trudeau's smiling face on it. So, okay. Well, we got the block leader, of course, who won his seat again. And, you know, in Beauce, it's funny because out there, actually, Maxime Bernier's dad had been a popular conservative as well. And Maxime went in his instead of him. You know, Harper had actually asked his dad to run. He said, no, but my son, you could get him to run. And that's how it all began. So we also want to take a look at the broader picture here. You know, a lot of this election was going to be fought in the Maritimes and in the 905 districts in Ontario. I am a bit surprised to see that there was a conservative victory here in Newfoundland, and there was. And also, it doesn't surprise me so much that you had PEI going completely Liberal. But Sean Casey coming back. Nova Scotia, you had a few conservative ones, and southern part of New Brunswick it does tend to go, is more likely to go conservative. That doesn't always happen, but it does sometimes. So John Williamson has won again, so he's back. Rob Moore as well, and A few newcomers here. Richard Martel. It's funny, he was the winningest hockey coach in Quebec history, minor hockey league history. And he won in a by-election, and he's won ever since, but he worked really hard to win that. So once you can get your first seat, you can often win. Pierre Polyev with 11,000 votes. Oh, Scott Reed won as well. And yet, when you get a bit closer to Ottawa proper, then it's not quite the same. Okay. Huh, interesting. Yeah, you got a lot of federal workers in the capital region. And in the past, they tend to vote for the Liberals because I think their job's a little bit safer. And I kind of wondered, though, if you had the vaccine mandates, if there was going to be enough people who would flip because they had a reason to not vote for the Liberals. But in the end, that didn't happen. You see, most of Ottawa here has voted for them. And yeah, the civil servants voted to keep their jobs. That's a lot of what's going on. The very few people that admitted to me they were going to vote Liberal, a lot of them were Liberal or were federal employees. So wow, Kitchener Center, we got a Green candidate here, Mike Maurice, who's winning. How about that? Well, Mike Morris, there it is. I have no idea who these people are. Who's the APP? You down with APP? I don't know thee. It seems like where you get these little pockets where you've got university-educated people or federal employees, you get this kind of thing, right? Interesting, Niagara Center would be voting that way. But yeah, look at London. That's the way they're going, right? So Mike Mullen, 5.2%. And Mark Emery, the Prince of Pot, got 5.5%, twice as much as the Greens. Kyle Free, PPC. Looks like there was only 4 candidates in that riding, so there it is. We've got a very diverse country, lots of people who see the world in different ways. Kevin Mitchell, PPC, 10.9%. Leanne Rude, worked with her in David Anderson's office years back, and she has won re-election with 48.7%. I'm trying to find some people who are willing to talk about moving out of Canada, because there are some people very seriously thinking about it now, largely due to the vaccine mandates. Indoor spaces in Saskatchewan, commercial ones, are going to need to be vaccinated as of October 1st. And there are some people that are thinking, hey, I'd like to move. One couple I talked to tonight, they're seriously looking at moving to retire in El Salvador. I talked to someone a few days ago that is seriously looking at moving at Sweden. An employee with the city of Regina, been there 13 years. He will not take this vaccine, has no intentions of it. His wife's right there with him in his decision. They are seriously looking at moving to Sweden. So if you are someone who is thinking of moving out of Canada right now, reach out to me. I am interested in interviewing people on this. What's interesting, if you look at the scriptures, it talked about how there was a persecution in Jerusalem when someone was actually martyred. Stephen was martyred, and then they scattered all over the place. And who knows where this is going to go from here on in. So yeah, October 1st, pretty much everywhere. You had city places at first that were going to be like that, and then as of October 1st, they want this for the indoor spaces as well. The masks are back. So yeah, not impressed. But maybe this is the time where Canadians go out into the nations. But I think we have to hunker down here. I really do. Some of us, we have to be ready, because it's going to take a while to take this country back. And there's going to be some very bad legislation that's coming because the Liberals have promised it's coming. So we're going to see more clamping down on politically incorrect speech in the name of calling it hate speech. We'll see some more social media censorship. We're going to see pregnancy centers lose their charitable status. And actually, it said that anti-choice charities would lose their charitable status. So, I mean, how far is that going to go? Is it going to be to all Christian churches or Muslim? I tend to think that Trudeau might exempt the Muslims somehow, but is it going to be for religious organizations as a whole? Maybe if you ever thought about donating to a charity like that, that maybe this is the year to do it. Yeah, firearm bans. Yes, we know that they're going to keep following through with that. There is a court challenge against it that's been done by some groups, but again, the judges, whether it's COVID, whether it's this, there's certain things, if it's not an issue of social liberalism where they want to overturn our laws, it seems like they don't, anything but that, they don't really want to go against the government. But it's still worth trying, and I appreciate the groups that are. And I think the Justice Centers actually announced they're going to have a class action lawsuit over some of these COVID restrictions. So it's a time to be brave, and a lot of people are saying, well, be safe. But no, I think it's time to be brave. So we still got a great country, and we're going to face an uphill battle in making it keeping it what it has been and making better than it's ever been, but it's still possible. So don't be discouraged, but think about what it is that you need to do. And just like the Mennonites did when they saw communism coming 100 years ago, well, who knows? Maybe some of them are going to be moving too. But I think the easy run that we've had is getting jeopardized, and we need to do something about it. So, hey, thanks for tuning in, everyone. You have yourself a great night.